Lower taxes than most is not a story of a well-run city. It's just a linguistic magic trick. No one shows you where the money's actually going because nobody knows. And nobody stops to open the books and ask the basic questions. Is this money buying us anything? Now, at this point, some will jump in and say, come on, Ottawa's got some of the lowest property taxes in Ontario. Relax. Okay. I want to spend a minute on this because that's the single biggest piece of misdirection in this entire conversation. And once you see how it works, you can't unsee it. Most people think there's a rate out there and the city applies it to your home and that's just your bill. That's not at all how this works. The city starts with the spending. Council decides how many dollars it wants. This year, $5.2 billion. Then it subtracts everything that isn't property tax, the fees, any money from the province, so on. Whatever's left over is the amount that they decide to pull out of property owners. And only then, at the very end, do they take that number and divide it by the total value of every property in the city. That division is the tax rate. The rate is the leftover of a math problem. They pick the spending first, and the rate falls out the bottom of the formula. They say ours is amongst the lowest. Here's the thing. The actual rate, Ottawa is not the lowest. Ours is about 1.23%. Toronto's is around 0.7%. The GTA cities like Markham and Vaughan are around 0.65%. We are higher than Toronto and higher than every major city in the GTA. We sit in the middle of the pack province-wide. And when someone tells you the lowest rate, they've switched from talking about the rate to talking about the average dollar bill. Those are two different things. One, homes in Ottawa are just cheaper than homes in the GTA. That's the housing market. A $700,000 house in Ottawa pays about the same tax as a $1.1 million house in Toronto. So if you have a $1.1 million house in Ottawa, you're paying way more tax here than in Toronto. Two, nobody mentions this for some reason. A huge amount of Ottawa's federal government property and doesn't pay municipal tax. Instead, the federal government sends a check to the city, more than $170 million a year in place of taxes. And it's shaky money too, because the city is actually taking the federal government to court over shortfalls in it. So if you strip it all down, the rate's not actually low. The bill only looks kind of tame because your house is cheaper, and Ottawa happens to be the nation's capital thanks to the late Queen Victoria. So put those together, transit, police, roads, more money, worse results right across the board, and you're sitting there thinking the obvious same thing that I'm thinking. Where the hell is all this money going? I'm going to give you an honest answer, the one that no politician really wants to give. I don't know, and neither does anyone sitting on that council. Nobody does, because the city has not done a real top-to-bottom, line-by-line review of how it spends your money in 20 years. Spending is ballooned for 2 decades, and literally nobody has gone through it, program by program, and asked simple questions. Does this work? Do we still need it? Is this the city's job? Are we doing it well? Bureaucracies will not reduce themselves. And again, it's not because every department is led by an assistant deputy Mr. Burns in the back. It's because bureaucracies naturally expand to serve the needs of the growing bureaucracy. That's Parkinson's law near enough. They aren't paid to do functional audits. The politicians are. So where does that leave us? We're paying more and getting less. Nobody can tell us where the money went. And the one comforting line they hand us, low taxes, turns out to be total misdirection. Here's what I think we should do, and I'm not going to stand here and say we need to raise taxes to fix the problems, and I'm not going to pretend we fix this by taking a chainsaw to the budget and cutting some bad and a whole bunch of good. Both of these are frankly incompetent suggestions. What the city needs is a full disciplined top-to-bottom program review. You go through the spending program by program, and for every single one you ask, does this work? Do we still need it? Is it the city's job, and is it being done well? And I want to be clear that this is not some radical experiment. It's the most proven tool in Canadian government. Jean Chrétien and Paul Martin did exactly this for the entire country in the mid-1990s when the books were an absolute disaster, and they balanced the budget. Doing it wasn't ideology, it was discipline. And here's the part that people forget. The city did this too in 2004, facing a budget crunch. Ottawa ran a program review of its own. We know how to do this. We've done it before. We just haven't done it in 20 years while spending per person has climbed and the results fell apart. So that's what I'm running on, not voting to raise taxes nor voting to get the chainsaws out. Open the books, review every program, and find out where all of our money is actually going.